Hello everyone, my name is Samar Abusardana and today I'm going to be teaching you reading skill, Q Skills for Success Level 1 Unit 8. Starting on page 152, reading 1 A Dangerous World. Activity A, Vocabulary. What we need to do here is match the words with the correct definition. Let's read the sentences fast. This neighborhood has a lot of crime, be careful. I don't like violent stories. I don't like to imagine people getting hurt. Every day there are many important news events in the world. However, our focus is often on sports stars or other famous people. I read a scary story last night. I was so afraid I couldn't sleep. Websites can report on news events more quickly than TV news. Most people own a cell phone. Cell phones are common today. Smoking can affect your health. It can make you sick. Eating a lot of fast food can have a negative effect on your health. And here are the correct answers. Definition A. Report, a verb, to give people information about something that happened. B. Affect, to make something or someone change in a particular way, especially in a bad way. C. Focus, noun, the center of attention or interest. D. Crime, something that someone does that is not legal. E. Scary, adjective, making you feel afraid. F. Negative, adjective, bad, not positive or good. G. Common, adjective, happening often or found in many places. And H. Violent, adjective, strong and dangerous, can hurt you. Moving on to page 153. The preview section. Look at the chart in the article. What does it tell you about crime from 2002 to 2012? Here is the chart. So if you take a look at it, you will be able to answer the preview question in activity C. It tells us that crime decreased from 2002 to 2012. Moving on to the reading section. A dangerous world. Is crime increasing in your town or city? In many places, crime rates are going down. The truth is that crime rates are much lower today than 20 years ago. Since 1993, crime has decreased 65%. This chart is the crime rate in Canada from 2002 to 2012. However, most people believe that crime rates are increasing. 68% of people say there is more crime this year than last year. They think that violent crime happens in their towns and cities all the time. What makes people afraid? The news media focuses on crime. The first story on the evening news is usually a story about violent crime. On some news programs, over 40% of the news stories are about crime. Why is there such a focus on crime? It is because scary news programs are popular. Does the media give people a true picture of the world? The answer is no. The media does not give people a true idea of the level of danger in the world. Here is an interesting example. Between 2002 and 2012, the rate of violent crime went down in Canada. However, a study showed that during part of that time, news stories about violent crime increased from 10 to 25%. One year, almost 25% of the stories the Canadian news reported were about gun crime, but only 3.3% of violent crime that year was gun crime. The media's focus on crime gives people the wrong idea. People believe there is more crime than there really is. They think violent crime is common. What are the effects of this exaggerated focus on violent crime? It affects people's lives in a negative way. This focus on violent crime results in increased feelings of fear. In order to protect themselves, some people avoid going out. They do not talk to their neighbors. As a result, they know and trust fewer people. They have fewer friends. This increases their fear about the dangers in the world. Fear of crime can also affect people's health. Many parents keep their children inside their homes. They believe the world outside is too dangerous. The children don't walk, run, or play sports outside. They become less healthy. This is true for older adults too. The media's focus on crime makes us believe the world is a scarier place than it is. It makes us lonelier and less happy and healthy. Facts show that we should learn to worry less. It's good to be careful and stay safe, but the world around us is actually safer than we think. Moving on to activity B, circle the answer that best completes each statement according to reading 1. Number 1. The crime rate is going down in many places. C. Number 2. Most people think the crime rate is going up. A. 3. Canadian media made people believe that the crime rate was going up. A. And 4. The media's focus on crime affects people in a negative way. B. Moving on to page 155. Activity C. Read paragraphs 1 and 2 again. Find a supporting fact for each statement. Number 1. The first statement. The truth is the crime rates are much lower today than 20 years ago, which is from paragraph 1. A supporting fact, of course the answer may vary. Since 1993, crime has decreased 65%. 2. Most people believe that crime rates are increasing, from paragraph 1. A possible supporting fact. 68% of people say there is more crime this year than last year. And statement 3. The news media focuses on crime, from paragraph 2. Possible answers or possible supporting facts. The first story on the evening news is usually a story about violent crime, or on some news programs over 40% of the news stories are about crime. Moving on to activity D. Read paragraph 3 again, answer the questions. Number 1. Reality. The rate of violent crime went down. What did the media do? The answer is, the media increased the amount of news stories about violent crime. 2. Reality. 3.3% of violent crime was gun crime. What did the media do? The answer, the media reported on gun crime for almost 25% of their stories. Activity E. Read paragraph 5 again. Put the information in the chart on page 156 in the correct order. So, you need to put the information in this chart in the correct order, and the correct order is as follows. As you can see here, people are more afraid. Here, people avoid going out, which leads to people don't talk to neighbors, which leads to people know and trust fewer people. Activity F. Answer this question. How does the media's focus on crime affect us? Now the answer will vary, and the possible answer is the media's focus on crime makes people more afraid. Next, the reading skill, identifying facts and opinions. Now here you need to be able to distinguish between facts and opinions. A supporting sentence or detail in a text is usually either a fact or an opinion. Knowing the difference between a fact and an opinion is important for a reader. It can help you decide the purpose of a text and judge how well the author supports the ideas in the text. Facts are things that you know happened or are true. Opinions are what you think or feel about something. Here are some common words that tell you a statement is an opinion and not a fact. The verbs think and believe often introduce opinions. So if a statement contains one of these two verbs, it often is an opinion. I think violent TV programs are scary. Some people believe violent TV programs cause more crime. So these two sentences are opinions. The model should introduces the writer's opinion, which is an opinion. Should goes before another verb. You use should to tell someone what you think is or isn't a good idea. Television news programs should report more positive news. Opinion, or more specifically the writer's opinion. Reporters should then focus only on crime. Also the writer's opinion. Moving on to activity A. Read each pair of sentences. Write F for facts or O for opinion. Number 1, A. According to recent studies, crime rates are going down in Canada. Fact. B. My neighbors believe crime is going up in our neighborhood. O. Opinion. 2. A. I think the streets are dangerous at night. O. Opinion. As you can see, we use the verb think. And B. There was a robbery on Jackson Street last night. F. Fact. 3. Children shouldn't watch violent programs on television. Opinion. B. By the age of 18, people see 200,000 violent crimes on television. Fact. 4. Many studies show that violent news stories affect people in a negative way. Fact. B. Some people believe that most video games are too violent. Opinion. Moving on to write what you think. Some discussion questions. 1. Do you watch the news on TV? Do you listen to the news on the radio? Do you read the news online or in a newspaper? Tell your group where you get the news and why, or why don't you get the news. Question 2. Do you think crime is going up or going down where you live? Explain your answer. And question 3. Are there differences in opinion between group members who watch the news on TV and those who read the news? Why do you think this is? Now discuss these questions in a group with your classmates or with your teacher. And then in activity B, choose one of the questions from activity A and write a response. Look back at your quick write on page 153 as you think about what you learned. So you need to choose one question, write what you think, your opinion, using your own words. Moving on to reading 2. Can we trust our fears? In the vocabulary activity, we have some words from reading 2. Read the definitions, then complete each statement, each sentence. So let's read the definitions fast. Contain, verb, to have something inside. Death, noun, when a life ends. Disease, noun, an illness or sickness. Factor, noun, one of the things that can affect or change a decision or a situation. Fat, noun, an oil we get from the plants, seeds, and animals we eat. Frighten, verb, to make someone feel afraid. Harm, verb, to hurt or damage someone or something. Pleasure, noun, the feeling of being happy or enjoying something. Reasonable, adjective, fair or right in a particular situation. Here are the correct answers. Number 1. My horse is big and strong, but he never tries to harm anyone. 2. Stress is one factor that can affect your health. 3. I was sorry to hear about the death of your father. He was a wonderful man. 4. That's a reasonable plan. I am sure it will work out well. 5. Scary stories really frighten me. 6. The white part of the meat is the fat. I cut it off and don't eat it because it's not healthy. 7. My neighbor has a serious disease. He is in the hospital. 8. I love to go to nice restaurants. Eating there is a great pleasure for me. And 9. Our bodies contain a lot of water. Over 50% in fact is water. Moving on to activity C, preview. Read the first paragraph of the article. What is the purpose of fear? What will the article tell us about fear? So if you just read the first paragraph, you will be able to answer this question. Now the answer will vary depending on your opinion. The purpose of fear is to protect us from things that might hurt us, but we can't trust all our fears. Moving on to the reading section on page 160, can we trust our fears? Are you more afraid of bad flu or the common flu? Which frightens you more, mad cow disease or heart disease? Fear is a natural human feeling. The purpose of fear is to protect us from things that harm us. However, we can't always trust our fears. Sometimes we are afraid of things that are not likely to happen. Many people think bad flu is very dangerous, but we don't worry about the common flu. Only 360 people have ever died of the bad flu. However, every year 250,000 to 500,000 people die from the common flu. Many people are not afraid to eat unhealthy foods, but we're afraid of getting mad cow disease from beef. In fact, we are much more likely to get heart disease than mad cow disease. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the world. In 2008 alone, 17.5 million people died of heart disease. Fewer than 300 people, however, ever died of mad cow disease. Why are we more afraid of things that we are unlikely to ever experience? There are a few different factors. First of all, when something is familiar to us or common in our experience, we fear it less. For example, most of us get the common flu several times in our lives. However, we never get bad flu. We probably don't know anyone who had bad flu. Bad flu is unknown, so it's scarier. Another factor is control. We are more afraid of things we cannot control. Mad cow disease is dangerous. It's very difficult to know if meat contains mad cow disease. Mad cow disease cannot be stopped by doctors. We have no control over it. Doctors can usually help people with heart disease, though they can't control it. And doctors believe people can fight heart disease. They say that we should exercise and eat less of some kinds of fat. We know we can't control heart disease. So, why do we do things that we know are dangerous? If something gives us pleasure, we might continue to do it despite the danger. For example, maybe your mother and your grandfather had heart disease. You know that you need to eat well, and your grandfather had heart disease. You know that you need to eat well, but you really like food with a lot of fat, so you eat it anyway. You say, someday I will change the way I eat, but I am hungry and the unhealthy food is delicious. Now think about the things that you are afraid of. How likely are they to happen? Do you think your fears are reasonable? Think about your fears honestly, and you might be surprised. You may find out that you are living with unnecessary fears. Moving on to activity B. Read the statements, write true, T for true or F for false, then correct the false statements. Here are the correct answers. Statement 1. Unfamiliar things frighten us more, which is from paragraph 3, and it is true. 2. We fear things we can't control, from paragraph 4, false. We fear things we can't control. Number 3. Fear is natural, from paragraph 1, and it is true. 4. All of our fears are reasonable, from paragraph 6, and it is false. Not all of our fears are reasonable. 5. We are afraid of things that are unlikely to happen, from paragraph 2, and it is true. 6. We may do things that harm us because we enjoy them, from paragraph 5, and it's also true. Moving on to page 162, activity C. What are reasonable fears according to the article? What are unreasonable fears? Write the phrases in the chart. And here are the correct answers. Reasonable fears: fear of the common flu and fear of heart disease. Unreasonable fears: fear of bad flu and fear of mad cow disease. Activity D. Answer these questions. Question 1. Why are people more afraid of bad flu than the common flu? The answer is, the common flu is familiar to us and bad flu is unknown. Question 2. Why are people more afraid of mad cow disease than heart disease? The answer, we can control heart disease, but we cannot control mad cow disease. 3. Why are we afraid of things that are not dangerous? They are different or unknown and we cannot control them. And question 4. Why do we do some things that are dangerous? And the answer is, we do some things that are dangerous because they give us pleasure. Moving on to write what you think. As usual, first you have some discussion questions which you need to discuss in a group or with your teacher. Question 1. What fears did you write about in your quick write? Why do you think you have these fears? 2. Do you think your fears are reasonable or unreasonable, and why? Are they things you cannot control? Are they things that are unfamiliar? Are your fears likely to happen? And here you have two questions. You need to choose one of these two questions and write your response, your opinion. Question 1. In reading 1 and reading 2, you read the people sometimes fear things unnecessarily. What do you think people should be afraid of? Question 2, or first of all, an example answer for question 1. For example, people should be afraid of things that might actually harm them, such as driving without wearing a seatbelt or crossing the street. Question 2. Write down all the fears that you have discussed so far in this unit. Which fears do you think are reasonable, and explain your answer. So it's up to you. Pick one of these two questions and write your response using your own words. Moving on to page 164, vocabulary skill word families. A word family is a group of words that come from the same word. The bold words in the sentences are members of the same word family. Notice that they are each a different part of speech. Some people spend a lot of money on home protection, which is a noun, protection. They want to protect their homes from criminals, protect, verb. They buy protective alarm systems for their homes, protective, adjective. And all these three words, protective, protect, and protection, are from the same word family. This chart shows two word families as well. Familiarity, noun, familiarize, verb, familiar, adjective, familiarly, adverb. And pleasure, noun, please, verb, pleasant, adjective, pleasantly, adverb. When you learn a new word, also try to learn the other members of the word family. Learning word families can help build your vocabulary more quickly. Complete this chart. Use your dictionary to help you. First of all, we have fear, noun, fear, verb, fearful, fearfully. Then violence, it has no verb form, adjective form violent, and adverb violently. Belief, believe, believable, believably. Danger, in danger, dangerous, dangerously. Harm and harm, both forms, noun and the verb form, have the same spelling. Harmful, the adjective form, and harmfully, the adverb form. Safety, noun, no verb form, safe, adjective, and safely, adverb. Moving on to activity B. Complete each sentence with a word from the chart in activity A on page 164. Here are the correct answers. Number 1. We often fear the things we can't control. 2. We feel safe in this neighborhood. We often go out at night to visit our neighbors. 3. The man hit the wall violently. He was very angry. 4. The news reports a lot of gun violence, but most crime isn't gun crime. 5. You may be in danger if you travel alone at night. 6. I'm not afraid when Ali drives because he drives very safely. And 7. Being afraid of the dark is a common fear. Alright, that's it everyone. Thank you for listening and stay safe.